Hey, Jordan from Condo here. Today I want to go through an update on Forma Condos, the Frank Gehry homecoming. It is launching June 16th. There's more information in the description if you want to get a unit. Let's get right into this. My typical disclosure here, I do not speak for or represent the developers on this site. We are just selling the site to our clients. Everything I'm showing you is based on publicly available marketing documents and architectural plans that have been submitted to the city. All right, first things first, just want to get our bearings here. So you probably already know a lot about the site. It's right at Roy Thompson Hall, King and Duncan. You know, this is probably the most anticipated condo project I've seen in my career. This is Theater Park, the existing building. This is a future building, 212 King, Roy Thompson Hall, Duncan, King. And then you have both the East and the West Tower. What is launching on June 6th is the East Tower, right? So the East Tower is 73 stories. And let's get into some of the specifics here. So this is just a rendering of the building with the skyline, sort of a evening rendering. It's obviously Frank Gehry's tallest building and also one of the few residential buildings. So you have two buildings, 73 and 84 stories. So the West Tower, the taller of the two, will launch sometime in the near future at obviously much higher prices. And you have three fantastic developers behind this project. You have Great Golf. You know, they're incredibly well known in Toronto, very reputable. You have Dream Unlimited, who have done some amazing things. And you have Westdale Properties, which have, you know, a massive portfolio. So you have three AAA developers. So this isn't a development I'd be worried about investing in on the notion of, well, is this thing going to go through? Is it going to cancel? Am I going to get refunded my deposits? Like, this is sort of your AAA project here. Bird's eye view of the two buildings. So obviously you have John Street, Simcoe Street, Roy Thompson Hall. You have King. Both buildings are fronting on King. Both have retail component on the ground level and some office commercial space above that. So this is another just sort of context rendering massing of 212 King, but it shows the East Tower here of Gehry or Forma, and it shows the existing Theater Park. So I'll cut to a quick clip of Theater Park to give you a perspective of the size and scale of the Forma project. Now, one of the interesting things about Forma is how long it has been in development. So they've gone through numerous different models. Here's one example that was years back. Here's the next follow-up. And now we get to the current mock-up and the current massing model. And this is just sort of an evolution from the previous design to the new design, and it shows the context of Theater Park right here. And rather than me tell you about all the different models and all the different renditions and design changes they went through over the last decade, I'll just cut to a clip of Frank Gehry explaining it himself, the man, the myth, the legend.
I'm a Toronto traditionalist because I remember Osgoode Hall, I remember University Avenue, Parliament Buildings, the Royal York Hotel. There is a feeling of Toronto that I had as a kid, and I wanted that to be in the DNA of what I was going to do. We spend a lot of time building models. I'll bet there's 100 models out there. There's a lot of the essence of Toronto and Canada that surrounds this building. I didn't want to denigrate that in any way, so I paid attention to the scale of the existing building.
So you saw the models in that clip there. And you saw how they were reflective and caught the light in interesting ways. So I've pulled up a render here of the streetscape that shows and features that sort of twisted metal, the stainless steel looking facade on the exterior of the building. Obviously, it's going to catch the light in very interesting ways. Lots of Frank Gehry designs do. You know, one noteworthy one is the Arl building, which has sort of a similar facade. This one will be a little bit more muted based on the design selection we're seeing in the architectural plans, but still very unique cladding for an exterior of a building. And it depends on which side of the building you're on as far as what the facade looks like. So here's a model of the building. This would be fronting on, I believe we're looking at the south facade. So this is the south facade. This would be King Street here. And you can see here when you pivot to the north side of the building, this side of the building has different cladding, floor-to-ceiling windows here. So anyways, it depends on which exposure you're on, what the building's going to look like. And I think I have some more renderings to kind of give you more clarity on that. Now, I do have the architectural plans pulled up here to give you an idea of the amenities and the space and what the floor plans might look like. They did show us a lot of the sample floor plans at a recent broker presentation, but I'm not allowed to show those yet. But suffice to say, they are really good. One thing to keep in mind is none of the units do have balconies, right? So it's not like somebody has a balcony, you don't. None of the units have balconies. There is an outdoor terrace as an amenity for shared use, but no units have balconies in this building. So here's a rendering of the lobby. Paulo Ferrari is the interior designer on the building. This would be the entertainment suite on the top floor. So interesting thing about this development is in the East Tower, there are no penthouses. Well, there are, but technically the actual penthouse level, the 73rd level, is an amenity for everybody to use. So this is a rendering of that amenity. Here is the screening room. Here is the kitchen. And here is the hot tub. And we also have a rendering here of the fitness studio. So just a bird's eye view of both the west and east building. You can see here you have retail in the east building, you have the residential lobby, and then you also have the entrance for OCAD University. In the west building, you have retail. You have 3 retail spaces, as well as the commercial lobby for the commercial floors and the residential lobby. And then you get up to the 5th level where you get into your amenities. So you have a really large gym, and spin studio here, and a health club. And then you also have another full floor of amenities that includes that outdoor terrace that I mentioned, party room, lounges, entertainment suite, co-working area, just tons of really nice, nicely appointed and furnished areas. So that you can, work from home, have people over, have friends over, more amenities than we see in a typical building, but it's also a high density building, right? So you're looking at over 800 units, so it makes sense to have more amenities as well, which obviously leads a lot of people to the question, what are maintenance fees going to be? Well, probably in the mid 70 cents per square foot. All right. So about what you would expect to see, actually kind of lower than I expected, but that's what you're going to see on this building. Now, I can't show you sample floor plans, but I can show you what's in the architectural documents, right? Because that is publicly available information. You guys can go to the City of Toronto and download this document yourself. What's really interesting, and one thing I was worried about with this particular building was the fact that it's architecturally unique. A lot of the time when you go outside of the typical cookie cutter condo box, you get a really nice looking building, but the flip side of that, the downside is that you have to sacrifice in floor plans because you have a bunch of wonky floor plans that don't really make a whole lot of sense. In the case of this building, yes, it's twisted and there are weird angles, but it's largely still rectangular, and as a result, the floor plans are really good. So you can see here that not all facades are going to be floor to ceiling windows, right? We saw in the earlier rendering the mock-up of the facade from street level. So it depends on the exposure. If you're on the north side, you're going to get more windows, but the south side, obviously, especially once you get on higher floors, you have just unbelievable views. And then we get to the 73rd floor. So I showed you the renderings earlier with the screening room and the kitchen and the entertainment suite. This is what the floor plan looks like. This is the penthouse that is the amenity for everybody to use. Now, finally, to touch on pricing. They're going to launch in the low 1900s a square foot. If you watch my previous update from 2 months ago on Forma Condos, you'll know that I said for sure it's going to be above $2,000 a foot because I honestly believe that's what the project was going to be priced at. I'm a little surprised, they're coming in 10% or so less than what I was telling clients to estimate for, but it's a nice surprise. I imagine that they will probably quickly jack up prices after the initial launch, but $1,900 a foot, the low 1900s a foot is going to be the starting point for the first day release on June 16th. You can get more information on that at precondo.ca/forma, or you can just give me a call or book a call with me, and I'd be happy to talk about this project, help you pick a unit, help you secure a unit. And to touch on pricing a little bit, it's important to compare this project with actual comparables, right? You can't compare this to your standard cookie cutter condo building because it isn't that. If you look at some of the other landmark buildings, for example, the closest comparable to me is King Toronto because it is Bjark, so it's another world famous architect. It is right in the heart of the entertainment district, so the neighborhoods are pretty similar, and it's currently priced around $2,200 a square foot or more. You have United Building, which is far more expensive than that. You have the one in Yorkville by Mizrahi at One Bloor. That, of course, is much more expensive. And then you have One Delisle all the way up at, Yonge and St. Clair, a beautiful project. Well, all of these projects are great, but One Delisle is particularly unique. It's from Studio Gang, so it's very similar in terms of being a trophy piece of real estate in Toronto, of which we don't really have a whole ton of unique buildings yet. And One Delisle is, $2,500 a foot and up. So to me, $1,900 a foot for a building completing in 2028 on paper, let's be honest, the building is going to be a 2030 completion if I had to guess. I would put out an 8-year completion date, which gives you plenty of time to sit and wait on completion. So that's all I have for you guys today. If you have any questions about this development, reach out to me directly, Jordan at precondo.ca, and I will see you guys next video.